The shape of silence. Silvia Rossi had always felt a space inside her that words couldn't quite fill. At 28, she lived in the artistic heart of Milan, working as a conservator in the Pinacoteca di Brera. Each day, she restored faded frescoes and cracked oil paintings, but she couldn't restore what was missing in herself, the silence left by a father she had never known. She had asked her mother, Rosa, 100 times. Who was he? A mistake, Rosa would whisper. A chapter that ended before it began. But chapters don't disappear just because they're torn out. In June 2024, Silvia received an invitation to a private gallery opening, an exclusive event celebrating the life work of a man named Matteo Bianchi, a legendary photographer known for capturing the soul of Italy through black and white film. The invitation was hand-signed. To Silvia Rossi, art recognizes art. She didn't know the man, but something in the handwriting pulled at her like a memory that didn't belong to her. The gallery stood near the Navigli canals. Silvia entered wearing a navy dress and sandals that clicked softly on the marble. Matteo's photographs lined the walls, narrow streets of Palermo, rain-specked windows in Florence, and a series called The Forgotten Faces. She stopped in front of one image, an old photo of a woman sitting by a train window, clutching her belly. The woman was Rosa. Her mother. A voice behind her said softly, "I took that photo 30 years ago." Silvia turned and saw a tall man in his 60s. Elegant, quiet, and deeply familiar in a way she couldn't explain. "You know my mother?" she asked. "I did," he said. "A long time ago." His eyes studied hers, but he didn't explain further. They spoke for 15 minutes, about art, Milan, and music. Not about the photo. Then he said, "Would you have coffee with me tomorrow? Just, to talk." At the cafe near Porta Romana, Matteo asked questions that didn't feel like questions. "What do you love about silence? Why do you think people leave?" Silvia answered honestly, not realizing until the end of their talk that she had revealed more than she ever had to anyone. He never spoke of himself. When she asked about the photo again, he only said, "I once met a woman who changed me. But I let her go." Over the next weeks, they met again. Matteo introduced her to friends from the art world, Enrico the painter, Valeria the critic, and Elena, a once famous ballerina now using a cane. They adored Silvia instantly. She felt like she was walking into a room she hadn't known she belonged in. One night, over dinner in Matteo's quiet apartment, she looked at the photos on his bookshelf. In a small silver frame, half hidden, was a photo of Rosa. Younger, smiling. She turned to him. "You were in love with her." "Yes," he admitted. "Deeply." "Was she in love with you?" He hesitated. "She was afraid of being." Then Silvia asked the question she never thought she'd ask aloud. "Were you my father?" Matteo looked at her, long and quiet. "No," he said. "But I wanted to be." She froze. "What do you mean?" He poured wine. "Your mother and I were together. She became pregnant. I thought the child was mine. I proposed. But one day she left, no explanation." He took a long breath. 2 years later, I found out through Julia, an old mutual friend, that she had a daughter. I thought it was mine. I searched. But Rosa wouldn't speak to me." Silvia's voice cracked. So you're not. I took a test once. Julia helped arrange it, quietly. I needed to know. You are not my daughter, Silvia. But from the moment I saw you in the gallery, I wished it had been otherwise. The silence between them lasted a full minute. But it wasn't empty. She stood and walked to the window. All my life, I thought the silence meant I wasn't wanted. But your silence was full of trying. He stood beside her. There are different shapes of silence. Yours taught me how to listen again. Weeks passed. Their bond grew not as father and daughter, but something more complex, two people who met on the far ends of a missing history and built something new from the middle. But life has its own symmetry. Matteo collapsed one day on his balcony. Stroke. He was taken to San Rafael Hospital. Silvia spent every day by his side, reading poetry, telling stories from her childhood. He sometimes squeezed her hand. Other times he stared silently. When he woke briefly, his first words were, "You made the silence beautiful." He died 2 weeks later. At the funeral, Rosa came. For the first time in 15 years, she stood beside Silvia, staring at the photo of Matteo placed on the casket. "I didn't leave him because I stopped loving him," Rosa said quietly. "I left because I was pregnant from someone else, someone cruel. I didn't want to poison Matteo's life." "You took away his choice," Silvia said gently. "And mine." Months later, Silvia opened a new gallery room at the Brera Museum. It was dedicated to Matteo's lesser-known works. The final image on the wall showed a cracked windowpane with sunlight pouring through. Below it, a small plaque. To Silvia, some silences are not emptiness, but space waiting to be understood. What do you think? Was Rosa right to keep her secret? Comment your thoughts below. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Brain, subscribe for more English listening practice through exciting short stories. Bell, and hit the bell so you never miss a new adventure. Red Heart, thanks for watching, and see you in the next story.